Do you feel like walking us through the agenda today?
Okay, I got to open the agenda. That will be step one. Let's see. Sorry, we have about a million things open. Okay. I guess we have not established a quorum.
We do not have a quorum. But I would like to suggest that we start with introductions. We've got a guest here, a couple of guests, so maybe start with just excuse me, having people introduce themselves.
That sounds great. I see a lady named Tracy Bogard.
Never heard of her before.
No, I'm just
Hi,
kidding.
my name is Tracy.
I'm just kidding.
Who are you?
I'm not sure. So any could we hear John perhaps?
Yeah, I'm a retired Air Force officer. I run a nonprofit for veterans with PTSD, and I'm pretty active in the Wilsonville, West Lynn area, and getting involved with Veterans Advisory is just another way for me to plug in to connect with other vets.
All right. Welcome. We need more officers. I mean, we're lacking guidance and leadership. So thank you for being here. And Americo?
Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Americo Hernandez. I am an Army combat veteran, 12 years of service, and I am the Director of Veteran Services for Dugan Multnomah. I've been here before, and
Sorry.
due to all the whirlwind, with a lot of stuff happening, I haven't been able to attend the meetings. But now that everything is cooling down with my line of work, I'm able to attend more meetings like the back, which I'm going to do. So
Awesome. Thank you. And how about 503-784-4030? Thank you for attending via audio, cellular telephone.
It's Lori Kimmel on the line.
Okay, hi.
Hi there.
Welcome, Commissioner Savas and April.
Hi, everybody. My name's April Bundy. I work for Clackamas County Social Services. I currently am with the Family Caregiver Support Program, and I use she, her pronouns, and it's really nice to be here with all of you.
Awesome. Thanks for showing up. So we don't have a quorum, so we can pretty much go into the overview of the VAC presentation to the BCC, which I don't believe anybody here was in attendance for. Is that true, or what was that?
I can go ahead and do that, but there are a few folks who haven't had a chance to introduce themselves yet. So Janet, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Janet Raymond, and I'm one of the council members, and got myself elected secretary somehow a couple months ago. And I'm representing a family member. I have actually several family members who are veterans. So one who was active duty in Afghanistan. So
thanks, Janet. Larry?
I'm Larry Mosley. I'm a combat veteran also, but in a different war. Yeah, I'm with the Veterans of Foreign Wars. I'm also very active in the Oregon City area with local things like the Rotary, blah, 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 and Chamber of Commerce and things like that. And I'm working to pay attention to people and talk to veterans and find out where they're at, and a lot of the things that Gus has talked about before. I've had something happen today that was interesting. If we get a chance, I'll say something.
Thanks, Larry. Carol, we're doing some introductions. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I've got my kids right here. Can I go next? Let me get them out of here so I can, I'm listening in, but
Okay.
thank you.
And then Amy?
My name is Amy Kelsey, and I'm an administrative specialist here in Clackamas County in Social Services.
Thanks, Amy. And I'm Brenda Durbin. I'm the Director of Clackamas County Social Services, and we operate the County Veteran Service Office and support this wonderful committee. So yes, Adam is going to be here shortly, and Gus Bedwell, who won't be here today, had an opportunity to do a presentation to the Board of County Commissioners on Tuesday. Gus and Adam reviewed a couple of things, recruitment activities, update on getting our Veteran Summit up and going, an update on the outreach efforts, and one other thing that I am forgetting at the moment. So I'm going to send Amy the PowerPoint that Gus and Adam used, and she can send that out after the meeting, and you can get a sense of what was described. So Commissioner Savas is here, and I would welcome him to share any thoughts that he has, any reflections on the presentation. But we did have a couple questions about outreach and the college. So Paul, would you like to share any reflections on the presentation?
Yeah, I was pleased to hear the proactive steps towards that mental health, behavioral health opportunity that was presented, and it was a great opportunity to get the face of the VAC, your all work, in front of the Board of Commissioners. So I'm hoping we can do those more often and put some more substance to what we do. I know you all, and I want to say thank you, but I know you all care deeply about your work here at the VAC and also about advancing the work of this committee. So I appreciate that and look forward to hearing from what Adam's thoughts are. He's not with us yet, but I thought they did a great job. Brenda, you were in the room. Your thoughts?
I appreciated the time to go before the board. I think that I agree, Commissioner, that we've made some great progress in identifying some really concrete goals, and we're making some progress in moving towards them. So many thanks to everyone on the committee that makes that possible, and look forward to filling our vacant positions soon so we can do even more great work and make sure that every veteran gets the support that they need. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so RB, I'll shoot it back over to you. I think this next item, the VAC summer recruitment strategies, I believe that this is just a real quick brainstorming session. We do have some vacancies. We've got, I know, at least one potential member here, Carol, who has submitted an application. I think we may have 2 applications. So let's go ahead and let Carol introduce herself. We'll catch up with the folks who joined us, and then we'll have a quick brainstorming session on recruitment strategies over the summertime. Carol, you're up.
Sorry, trying to figure out how to unmute myself. Hi, I'm Carol. I'm an Oregon native. Been in Clackamas County about 3 years after I moved back to Oregon with my family from Los Angeles, where we were for about 16 years. My dad and my grandfather served in World War I and World War II, respectively. My uncle, cousins have been in the military, various generations. So military service is a big part of our family, and we really want to support the veterans as well as our active duty. I am an auxiliary member for the Oregon VFW. My girls, during Girl Scouts, when they have their donated cookies, we send those over to the USO, just so as we have military servicemen and women coming through. Just an extra little treat. Very recently, someone reached out to me that was former Girl Scout leader, and got me involved in the honor flights. We have one that will be happening in September. And if that's a side note, if any of you want more information, how you can be a part of that, we have 55 people going back to DC on the honor flights in September. And I'm really excited to be here and see how else I can get involved in our community. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Carol. Let's do introductions with Ken, Paul, and then Aubrey, and then we can kick it back to Adam to go through the rest of the agenda.
We doing the introductions? Can you hear me? Okay. So, hi guys. I'm Ken Bichek. I do the Veterans Employment Program here in Clackamas County for Children, Family, and Community Connections. And yeah, we just got back from the Veterans Village ourselves. So that's me. Aubrey.
Ditto. I am also with the Veteran Employment Program for CFCC down in Oregon City, right next to the bus station. We'll make sure to hook up any connections, communications, or anything like that in the chat as well. Please feel free to reach out to either of us.
Hello, Audrey.
Hey, Larry.
And Paul, you're on mute.
Hi, I'm Paul Edgar. I live in Oregon City. I'm a veteran, and I've been on community outreach for veterans in need, and just actively involved into all sorts of services to try to help those that are underserved or in need, as a part of a priority of just giving back to making a better world. So veterans, there are a lot of veterans that just come through the world and their service and have paid a hell of a price, and we just have to stand up for them and make the field level the best we can do. Thank you.
Okay, so Amy, I'll ask you to do a quick check to see if we've got a quorum yet. And then Adam, I did a quick summary of your presentation to the BCC. So if you'd like to share any thoughts with that, and then we can move into the recruitment strategies and the rest of the agenda.
Thank you. I apologize for my tardiness. I was on a phone call, an important phone call. Before I get into that, I'll get with the chair's report, the overview. I mean, I think it was I think it went very well. It looked like just from the reaction from the board, it seems like that we have their support in what we're doing, in the plans that we've set and the goals that we've set. It seems like they're involved, and you know, we should be able to. I'm hoping that we don't have any issues going forward with any of the things we'd like to do, but it seems like that the BCC is pretty solid behind us, just from what I gathered from them, and what we're doing. Is there anything specific I need to bring up about that? Okay. The VAC summer recruitment strategies. If you can remind me on that,
Yeah, sure, Adam. So with that one, I think it's just a pretty quick brainstorming activity. We've got some vacancies that we'd like to fill. So we'd just like to do a quick go around the screen, see what thoughts people have in terms of how we can reach out to veterans, either as a group, or if they're individuals that you really want to sort of connect with, and if there's any support that the Clackamas County staff can provide in terms of doing that outreach.
Can I make a comment? I met a gentleman the other day who is very active. He's part of the Indigenous Native grouping of ex-military veterans. And there's a significant number of our veterans that are from the indigenous groupings. And he's been working with Grand Ron, and he's been working with a lot of the other things. He seemed to be very connected. And it just seemed like someone that has inroads and a network that would be in our best interest to integrate with what we're doing, just because sometimes he's seeing things in different areas than what we would normally be seeing. And he has great connections within the Native community. And it just seemed like when I got into a brief discussion, I never got a chance to get all the information so that I could forward it on. But there is a person out there that is really active, going, doing things much in the same sphere we are in. And I think that if we could reach back and take a look, one of the things I might make a contact with my friends at Grand Ron and see if I can get an idea from them who some of the people are, as they have significant numbers within Grand Ron that have served our country.
Thank you, Paul. Anybody else? Any comments on that? On the recruitment strategies? The outreach and executive committee charters for review. That's the next thing. Are we gonna, is this where we're gonna go over them? Are we gonna pull them up right now on or share the?
Before we go there, I think, Larry, did you have thought about
sorry.
back recruitment?
Oh, it's okay. I was just going to tell you, I put Gus in contact with an indigenous group that he had worked with in Southern California. So I don't know if he's talked to these people. This is an outfit that has homes and all kinds of other stuff too, you know. But anyway, so Gus may know all about this. I don't know already, but I just put him on contact with the people that I knew that I had talked to. Just for everybody knows.
And the other, in terms of brainstorming marketing or communication strategies, I don't know if I haven't met with, or I haven't heard from Gus necessarily about, you know, any kind of social media marketing or geographic kind of locational types of efforts that would, you know, access phones and media in certain areas. I know we did that a bit when we were trying to engage with veterans throughout the county using, you know, the VA clinic or the Bi-Mart or places that veterans tend to congregate or walk around. And I was going to talk about it a little more with the outreach committee, just in terms of looking at what the cost might be, or if it would be worthwhile looking at that as well as a way to communicate various messaging.
Thanks, RB. And I just want to clarify that our outreach committee is an outreach committee focused on outreach to the CVSO, getting veterans in to get their benefits. What we're talking about here is a different kind of outreach. So I think we can probably move on, but if you have any thoughts, send them to Amy and we can definitely incorporate them. And go ahead, Larry.
I was just going to say, why is it different? Because we're out there trying to do things for the VSO, but at the same time, we could talk to people about, I mean, I don't know, I'm just saying, I don't see why we should be exclusive to it.
Yeah, I think that could definitely overlap.
That brochure that you guys created is excellent. And it's one that we should have with us, that just we can give out when we're in contact with a veteran. We see somebody, we're talking about it. This is type of thing. I continuously try to recruit and try to understand the different veteran issues that people have. And whenever I can do it, but having that brochure to me is like, hey, you got a problem? Here's this brochure on Clackamas County Veteran Services and a phone number on it, and please contact them. You know, it really works out well.
And I think that Amy sent everyone brochures over the last couple of days, right?
I have them, yes.
Yeah, a nice stack.
I got a question on that. Oh, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting, but if we meet someone who might be good to be on it, how do we make the decision? I met a guy in, like I always do, he was leaving the store while I was going in, and I said, hey, what? Anyway, he's an Army veteran. He and a Marine have this thing called Reach and Teach, and they do it in the Estacada area. So I don't know, he might be a great person. I've got his contact information, and he sent me an email. So, I mean, I'll let him know. I just don't know how to refer somebody back there.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, I think you can, anyone can refer anyone interested in the VAC to Amy. Amy Kelsey, we've all got her email. And if we don't have an open recruitment at the time, we can hold their information until we open one. If there is an open recruitment, she will send them the application materials. And then if they're interested, those application materials come back to the executive committee. And then the review happens. And then you all know what happens next because you all were successfully appointed to the committee. So Adam, looking at the time here, we can go to Tracy, but I'm going to suggest that maybe we put off the charters until next month. I don't think there's any urgency there. We've got a presentation and we're a few minutes behind. So if it's okay with the group, that's what I would suggest. But Tracy does have her hand up. And then I'll stop talking and I'll promise I'll let Adam run the meeting.
I just had a quick question. Where are we at in as far as community members, family members, and veterans? Do you have that broken out, Amy? Okay.
So we do have currently 2 family members. We're in need of the 2 community members, and then the remainder is veterans of our 19 member total.
Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
The presentation on the Clackamas County Family Caregiver Support Program with April Bundy.
Oh, hi, everybody. So I work with the Family Caregiver Support Program, like I said at the beginning, which is a program. It's a national program, so it's all over the country. Every area agency on aging in the state of Oregon has a family caregiver support program. And so if you have family members or friends in other counties, you can hook them up with the program in their county or their state. And if you need information like that, I'm happy to try to get you in the right direction. So we serve folks who are unpaid family caregivers in Clackamas County who are caring for a loved one. And that could be a person who is like a son caring for his mom, who might be 60 or over, who has chronic conditions or could have Alzheimer's or dementia. We also serve families who have a relative as a caregiver. So your grand families or your kinship families, or, grandparents caring for their grandkids because parents aren't in the picture anymore for whatever reason. So we serve those folks as well. We also serve caregivers who are 55 and over who are caring for a disabled child who might be between 19 and I think 59 is the name, so is the age. But we support these families with case management, connection to resources. We offer them classes. So I don't know if you've heard of Powerful Tools for Caregivers class, but it's a 6 week evidence-based curriculum to help empower caregivers to take care of themselves, because we know that they're bearing a great burden of care for the people that we love in our country. With the long-term care system, you know, the way it is, we really need to support our family caregivers so they can keep their loved ones at home if that's what they choose to do. We offer support groups, and we had a book club this year for family caregivers. We're offering one of the activities we're doing this year with our RAP families, our relatives as parents. So those grand families, kinship families, we're taking them to OMSI. You know, we're going to have a lunch and go to the planetarium so that the caregivers can get together and support each other, where the kids can kind of be together also. We're really excited about that. We haven't done that in a while because of the pandemic. And what else do we do? We also offer Living Well with Chronic Conditions classes, which is also another 6-week evidence-based curriculum to help you kind of manage your own health and your own medical needs, and that of, you know, maybe a person that you take care of as well. We also offer what's called a memory cafe. So that's something like it's creative engagement for people with maybe declining cognition or and kids too. Like, for instance, we want to host an intergenerational kind of activity for kids and older adults to engage in creative storytelling. So we offer a lot of information and referral for families. So we make lots of referrals to Meals on Wheels and to Senior Companion Program and to other grants. You know, we work with the VSO to refer veterans that we serve for benefits. You know, if we think they're not getting the benefits they need or they're entitled to, we try to make those connections as well. So we work in collaboration with Multnomah County and Washington counties on some of our efforts. And so that's been really positive, trying to do kind of region-wide, you know, offerings for family caregivers. What other thing? Service coordination, you know, just helping people figure out what their options are for long-term care, whether that's Medicaid, you know, Medicare, private pay, whatever. We just try to help people kind of piece together their long-term care plan, because it's really complicated. And our system is so complicated. So people really need advocacy. And then we have a small grant that we offer families once a year, $500 to pay for respite, to pay for something that gives a caregiver a break or makes it easier to caregive. So it's just to really support and empower, educate, and encourage, you know, family caregivers, because the work they do is incredibly difficult. And it's really hard. So that's what we do in family caregiver. I think I pretty covered it pretty much, but I welcome your questions. And then I'll also talk about the veteran directed care program, which I know a little bit about, but I'm less familiar with, but I'm happy to talk a little bit about that too.
I would like to hope that you could send a link to Kelsey to where we could have greater access to self-inform ourselves on the opportunities and potentials. So if you could get that to Kelsey and Kelsey could get it out to all of us, that would really help. It's
sure.
Take a moment to really digest what this opportunity is. Thank you.
Okay, sure. And maybe I should create some kind of more lengthy summary as well, because we do have a brochure, but it's, you know, I don't know how informative that will be, but we can definitely, I'll definitely share something with all of you. Sure. And I'll send it to Amy. Adam, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just was curious, do you guys offer or provide or direct any caregivers to mental health services?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, yes. I mean, that's a huge need. So, I mean, of course, we refer to Clackamas County Mental Health, but we will help families try to connect with a therapist, you know, that they can pay with, either if they have Medicare, or there are some other programs, like there's the Pearls program, which is a brief intervention done by a therapist that meets with somebody, a community member in their home, to provide some, and it's about, I think it's 8 weeks of counseling, kind of. So like that's one example, but yes, we do make lots of referrals for mental health. Any other questions? Okay, great. Okay, so I'll tell you what I know about the Veterans Directed Care Program, also called VDC. So that program is housed with OPI, with Oregon Project Independence Program. I don't know if you're familiar, but they are similar in a lot of ways, Oregon Project Independence and the Veterans Directed Care Program, in that you can receive, so it's for veterans who need personal care at home or who are isolated and need additional supports. Once a year, a case manager or service coordinator goes to the home of the veteran, and they figure out what the veteran needs, and then they develop a budget. Because this program is funded by the Veterans Administration versus other programs like mine, which are supported by the federal government and state. So this is a program through veterans. And there's only, there's one case manager right now, I believe we have for that position. And so, and let's see, and the intent is for the veteran to be, their care to be self-directed. So they have all the say in how their care is provided. They're choosing their providers, you know, they're deciding on the hours and what type of care that they want and need. And the service coordinator works with them to make that happen, to make sure that the veteran gets, you know, they're directing whatever it is that's happening with their money, you know, their budget and their care at home. And so, yeah, I think bathing, dressing, fixing meals, you know, those types of in-home activities, that's what they would receive help with, plus the case management service coordination from the county staff person too. And that program's been going for a few years now. I don't know, maybe 5 years or so, Brenda, I'm not sure. Yeah, so that's to the extent that I know about the Veterans Directed Care, but I'm happy to follow up, you know, answer your questions and then get answers if I don't know the answer.
Thank you, April. Does anybody have questions?
And the last thing actually about this program is that your eligibility is determined by the Veterans Administration. So we don't determine that eligibility, whereas if somebody were to apply for the Family Caregiver Support Program or Oregon Project Independence, you know, for in-home help, then you go through the Aging and Disability Resource Connection, which you're probably familiar with. But we want all of our screening kind of to go through the ADRC, and then the referrals then come to us for referrals. So anyway, that's another difference between how the eligibility is determined.
So they'd have to go to the VA to determine their eligibility, and then the VA would refer them to you guys?
That is right, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna put I'll put the email for the Family Caregiver Support Program. If you want to, you know, if you end up with a question, it goes to our team email, and any one of us can answer. So it's just FCSP, so Family Caregiver Support Program at clackamas.us. Pretty easy. So
Thank you, April. Appreciate you sharing that information.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
So if I could, Adam, maybe I could provide just a brief overview before we head to our next agenda item. So for those of you who have been on the committee for a while, you know that we've talked about family support for a long time, and we've never really been able to nail down exactly how the VAT can support military and veterans families. So one reason we brought April in today was to give you all some information about other programs that supporting families in Clackamas County. And now I think, I know Tracy, you've been really involved with this. Did we lose Tracy? Tracy's been following this for a long time. Hopefully she will rejoin us in a little bit. But what we really want to do here for the next 15 minutes or so is just really talk about what are the needs for veterans and military families, and what role may the VAC play in that.
Well, I can speak to that. I think just the awareness that even these programs existed, because I wasn't aware. I think I shared my story a little bit with my son, who was in Afghanistan and had to move back home because of some of his PTSD issues, and not even aware that there was programs through Clackamas County that could help support veterans, and watching him struggle working with the VA and all of that, trying to get some help was challenging. So my thought was, again, I feel like that it needs to be, something like social media, those types of things, where it says, are you a family member of a veteran who lives in Clackamas County? Because the veterans themselves, and I'm not speaking, I know many of you are veterans, but sometimes, and we've talked about this, are very reluctant to reach out, even on their own behalf, because they've been, told no, it's a sign of weakness, all these different thoughts in their heads that maybe are interfering with their making some decisions about trying to continue to pursue getting some help. And so, and then resources that maybe, I know that there's limitations on what we can do as a VAC, but as far as maybe even just having a list of resources of some kind, doesn't have to be like a huge long list of sort of vetted out resources where it's either online or there's materials that a family member can access, either whether it's reading, are we eligible to reach out to the Veterans Center, Veterans Resource, now I don't even remember how, officers, as a family member. I know we can't speak on the behalf of a veteran or try to get them services. There's, HIPAA, privacy, all of those things. But if I, as a family member, called, I mean, what kinds of information would I be able to get that I could pass along to my, those are the questions that, I kind of still don't know that, even though I've been in these meetings. So, but, is there a survey that could be done, even if you did the survey of the veterans, but one that's targeted towards family members, just strictly online? I think we talked about that before, doing surveys, like we call them pulse surveys at my company, where it's sort of a topic of a quarter, like communication, teamwork, and short, and it has just so that people are more likely to complete them, but it's targeting, overarching, maybe there was one bigger survey that identified some key areas that maybe needed to be addressed because of the responses, were more toward the negative side. But just that awareness of what do people know, what would they feel they need to support their veterans. A lot of it is around mental health, and not just for the veterans, but for the family members, because we don't know what to say sometimes and how to behave, and we have PTSD along with them to some degree. And so I think that's just, I don't know, that was just my basic thoughts I'd written down. So.
Thank you, Janet.
Hi, everybody. I hope I'm not out of turn here, Brenda, but I just wanted to bring up there's a really good page on the Clackamas County website that's a military and veterans guide. specifically, and maybe you all know about this already, but it kind of, it puts all of the services that would be appropriate that are included in that the county offers. They try to put it in one place so that you can look at, I'll post the link in the chat, and if anybody finds that helpful, maybe that would be helpful. I don't know.
Yeah, I think sometimes, like, when you go online and you start searching, it's overwhelming. And so having maybe what we would call a curated list that's available of, programs and resources that maybe other family members have found extremely helpful. I have a few, but it's overwhelming. And a lot of them link back to the same places. Like, oh, you find out it links you back to the VA. And it's like a continuous loop of linking back to different services. So some sort of, I guess that's what I call it, a curated list of, here's our recommended resource guides, if it's a link outside of what we're doing here in Clackamas County or outside of the VA that potentially other family members have found helpful or recommended. I'm not, a lot of them, when you log on to their sites, the first thing that pops up is please donate, which I fully understand that people need funding, but at the time, if you're kind of in crisis and trying to find some answers, it gets in the way. And I didn't go any further myself. I'm just like, nope, I can't go here right now. So I guess that might be helpful where that could be posted, or maybe it could be a small brochure or a one page or two-sided, or even a PDF that can be emailed. I don't know, like the brochure that you guys mailed us. Is that something that's available in PDF form if someone, I'm thinking of younger people who like our electronics and they don't want anything on paper. They want to look at things on their phone and their computer. So some of the resources that might be available, again, families too, that don't have to be physically handed to somebody might be helpful. Links, that have links, because a piece of paper, you can't click a link to go somewhere. You have to manually type it in. So, didn't mean to hijack the whole meeting, but.
Oh, thank you. I mean, you bring up good points. So, I mean, do we have that brochure on PDF? I mean, I'm pretty sure we can take whatever file it is and make it a PDF file. Anybody, anyone else?
Well, I would encourage people to click on the link that April put on the chat here, and Amy, let's make sure we put that in the meeting notes as well. And the county would definitely be interested in hearing from all of you if there are any resources that we need to add. I really like your idea of a curated list, Janet. There are some things that, some organizations that do great work and some that, maybe don't. So having some sort of review of that makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay. Are we good on the discussion, or anyone else have anything else to add?
Well, again, I'm sorry that Tracy had to jump off because she's really been spearheading this. One strategy we've taken in the past is connecting with, I'm going to forget the name of the part of the military system, but anyway, I think, Adam, I guess my suggestion is let's loop back at executive committee when Tracy is there. So I think we need to decide, is this an area that we've got ability to influence or not? And if the answer is yes, then I think that we need a work plan. We probably need an official committee, a charter, and sort of move down that path of formalizing. So we've got a target and we have ability to gauge our progress. If after, the time that has passed since we've talked about this, there really isn't a role, for this group in supporting military families, and we should make that decision. So I think we need to sort of decide, is this an ongoing piece of work for us, or do we let it go?
Is that something we want to decide now, or
No, I think we really need Tracy. I really like to have Tracy's input because she's really invested in this discussion.
Yeah, okay. Then I guess next on the agenda is member updates. Or Paul, did you have your hand up? I'm sorry.
Yes, I have great concern that we have a lot of veterans, just as Janet talked about, that are so reluctant to make their concerns known to anyone. It is, and they're everywhere in Clackamas County. And they are deep. And I have always felt like that we need to make a frontal attack in a sense of publicity and some way to get the least amount of words, but just some way where people are nudged carefully to make contact if they know a veteran, if they are concerned about a veteran, where it becomes simple for them to make to nudge someone to a point where contact is made. We don't need any more suicides. We just need to figure out how to do this in all of these new modes of outreach, be it a big electronic sign on 205 where everybody goes by it and it's just simple read if you're a veteran or know a veteran that is in need. Contact and make it simple. And somehow we've got it. We just they're out there. I know they're there. When I get into discussions, all of a sudden you realize, yeah, the people are there. They want to talk a little bit, but they're very careful in what they say. Just really careful. And it's not. It's how we can do this. It is above my pay grade, you might say. Other than I feel this need, and I just think that we need to be smarter and more aggressive.
Larry has his hand up.
I'm sorry. Okay, I know this gentleman who's putting on a men's health thing this weekend, which is a little late for us to do this, but I did talk to Gus. Gus talked to him, and I picked some finder kinds of things up yesterday, and he's going to try to use them in this thing on Saturday. He's going to be doing them other areas, including Portland and things like that. So we talked about that. So, and I'm going to be there, and I got those flyers that Amy sent out. And when it gets around in this area again, if not before, we are going to be a part of that, talking to veterans. So again, you talk to people, and this is something that's going on. Something else that's going on, and I have talked to the VFW in Oregon City, and there's a firm that a couple of you people will know is Amen, and they put together food boxes that have to go to veterans, picked up by veterans and delivered by veterans. I need to know where there are veterans that need them. So if anybody there can help me with that, then we can start. Well, I'm talking to RB, he's still there. Clackamas Community College is having a new director that's going to be helping the students that are veterans, and all students who are food insecure. And I've talked to her briefly, and I've talked to RB about it, to where what we can do, we being the VFW, can pick up the boxes, we can take them to RB's office and put them there, and they can come in and pick them up at times that RB sets up. So that's one of the things that I'm doing, and that's the kind of things I think other people can do also. I'm done.
Thank you, Larry. Um, I'm going to share something here with everyone. Some of you guys may already know. And I'm going to share this because it's recorded, and I'm going to share this because I feel this is a safe place, and I want to do my part to break the stigma. I had just returned from a funeral on Monday of a Marine brother that I served with that took his own life. Before that, about 10 days before that, another Marine who served with my younger brother took his life on Memorial Day. And my younger brother attempted to take his own life as well, in a different way, through police. So my Marine brother had a year left in the service before he was going to retire. He left a wife and 2 children behind. A group of us flew to North Carolina to spend time and be with his family and to pay our respects. And the common theme was how, why, and why didn't he call me? That seemed to be what we were all asking, is why didn't he give us a chance? And then we started thinking, well, why didn't we give him a chance and call him? Because the last time I had talked to him was 2020. But we started realizing that, you know, we can die for each other. We can take another human being's life for each other. But we can't call each other when we're struggling the most. You know, and it did something to me because within the last 2 years, I've had my struggles as well. And I've resulted to the same thing of, you know, I'm alone and, you know, my family, you know, doesn't get it and those kind of things. But after this experience, I realized that I'm not alone. There was brothers that I had served with that I hadn't seen in 18 years, that it was like we just saw each other a week ago. And I realized that the veteran support system is so incredibly important. But for some reason, there's a stigma, and it's so strong. It really, I mean, it's strong. I mean, you know, I'm sure we all have experiences with talking somebody off the ledge at some point. It's a strong community. It's a strong support system, but it's how do we break the stigma between each other? You know, there's already a stigma with outsiders, but now we're starting to realize there's a stigma between ourselves as well. And it's like, what do we do? How do we break that? How do we, you know, I mean, we put together a Google Doc sheet with everybody's phone number, everybody's name. And, you know, I'm going to take the first Saturday of each month and I'm going to call every person on that Google Doc sheet, because that's what I'm going to do. But is it enough? I mean, you know, we had to sit there in that group of us and think to ourselves and have an honest conversation about that. Somebody here right now is thinking about doing the same thing. And that's the hard truth. But how do you reach those people? How do you reach I mean, even the guys you serve with can put up a wall. So I'm sharing this for us to all ask ourselves that question. And for any other veterans out there, our brothers and sisters out there who are struggling through the same thing, to tell you that I am putting my wall down, and I don't consider this a weakness. It is a strength to go to another human being and ask them for help because you're struggling. It takes a lot of strength to admit that to yourself and to another person. And it has to start somewhere. And I'm hoping that it starts today here in this meeting. And that's all I have to say. If we can just think about that and find a way to bring our vets more together and maintain that connection. We all have our lives, but you know, I always think to myself, what if I would have called them for 10 minutes? Could that have changed something? We all of us are, I mean, that man served with 3 battalions, 3 Marine Corps battalions. I've never seen so many Marines hurt in my life before. You have 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, and 2nd Battalion, 6th Marines. And we're rocked. We're all rocked. But it has to start somewhere, and I hope it starts here. Thank you. Is there any public comments or anything anybody would like to say? Larry, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think and yours, you have a group that's around the country. But trying to get veterans to join a group of veterans, I mean, I'm with the Veterans of Foreign Wars, it's the American Legion. You get people to, veterans need to talk to other veterans, and they need to communicate with other veterans, not that they have a problem, but just with it. And I think that would help a lot. But veterans are like everybody else, they're just not joiners anymore. So I'm involved with a thing that's called the First Friday Veterans Breakfast. Any veteran can come. And all they do is we sit around and talk about some of the things we've done before and so forth. So, and I was owed a deal with the VA because I went through PTSD and I'm over 50%. But we had a group that met at Clackamas Community College. And whenever somebody new came in, the first thing they'd say after we said some stuff is, I'm not alone. And you hit it, Adam. They don't know that they think they're alone. I thought I was alone. And somehow we need to let them know they're not alone. Does that help at all?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Americo?
Yeah, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your experience. It's really important to hear that. If I could add, it depends on the generation of vets. Our generation, the Global War on Terror, GWAT vets, we're a different breed. I mean, we want that community. We want to be together. We love that family aspect. But if a lot of us don't want to just sit down and talk about war stories, we want to get out and do stuff that engages the community. And stuff like Team RWB, the mission continues, that gets us out there, whether it's, building gardens or building something, it's super crucial for us. I've talked to RWB and the mission continues, and there's a vast, big population of veterans out there, and we talk and we have that freedom, that little ounce of that veteran spirit and culture that we lost in our generation, that the newer vets. And it's there. We do want to engage. We do want to talk, and we share different. And when we want to be vulnerable and share, it's different. We're not going to be open and very transparent on like, hey, I'm struggling right now. But it's going to be more sort of like, hey, I really want to check in and see how you're doing, or hey, hi, how are you? And those activities that bring us in our communities really, really, really is crucial. So if we or the back could reach out to this community in Clackamas and get creative on finding what can we bring, or what can we do to bring a bunch of veterans together in this county, whether it's going out there and fixing up a fellow veteran's house, whether it's going for a hike, whether it's going for a ruck march, Aubrey knows, whether it's doing something that brings that vet spirit and that mission, right? We're here to serve our community. Not only do we serve our country, we serve our community as well. And we still have it in us, regardless, no matter what generation of war, it's in us to serve. So if we can bring and rally the vets to just continue serving, it would open up.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you're absolutely right. That does help tremendously. I did see Kenby.
So one of the things that's really helped, I believe, because it is about communication. And a lot of times when we have folks that have fallen off the radar screen and aren't responding, never stop. Don't give up. Make that phone call, make that text, make that communication happen, because they may not respond back. We've had experiences where it's been a year where somebody didn't respond back, but each and every one of those they remembered when they finally did. So even if you're not getting a response back, don't give up, don't stop. keep that communication going, even if it's one-sided, because it can and it does make a difference.
Thank you. And I just wanted, we do have Commissioner Paul Salvas here, so I just wanted to thank you for attending this meeting, sir. I appreciate it.
You bet, Adam. I'm compelled to, I'm just compelled just to share a couple stories, I guess. And I'll be brief. And Americo, I really appreciate your comment about, maybe it is generational, or maybe it's really, the time in which someone served or whatnot. But most of the people that are vets that are my age, for example, that I knew or know, it's a very sensitive subject. And sometimes I think it actually stirs up more emotion by talking about things like that. I'm not a vet, so I can't relate. Maybe I'm not the right person, but and then some people are okay with talking about it. And then I can think of one conversation I had in particular where he was Vietnam vet. He was very agitated when he talked about it. He was very agitated that because of how Vietnam vets were treated when they got back. And it's something that, the more they talk about it, the more it stirs them up. So I always ask myself, and there's some experts that are probably more in this room right now with, amongst us here that probably have experience. Is it sometimes, I asked the question, is it something that we want to tap into? And would it create more? I always worry that it creates more hardship or angst than it does maybe sometimes help if that person's just doing okay today. If they're okay today and you stir up emotions that they've been sitting on for a year or two, I just wonder what that risk is. And does anyone have any insight on that who works with people? I struggle with that. I struggle with that even with people that lost someone who's not even a vet, but I do know that it really stirs up a lot. And it actually, I have a family member who, if we talk about someone who we lost and that pain that they went through, that anguish is something that just draws them in a deeper depression sometimes. So I just worry about that. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, personally, example, like coming from where I just came from in North Carolina, the one thing that we all agreed on is that it was a bittersweet moment, because it was bitter to have to come together for what had happened, for the tragedy. But it was great because we were all together and we had it was we didn't really, like America was saying, we didn't really sit around and talk about the tragedies. We talked about the good things, the funny things, the stories we had with each other, and even about what we're doing now. Guys were talking about their kids and stories about their kids. So I think I think what I was really trying to say is the familiarity, like guys that you serve with have a different, guys and gals that you serve with is a different connection. It's like, I'm not going to be totally comfortable with, opening up completely to a veteran that I may not have served with or may not have been the same MOS as me even, as an infantry Marine, I might not relate to a guy who was an air winger, for example, as much, even though we served in the same combat in the same combat zone, we don't have the same experience as it would be with a guy that was in my unit directly. And that's where I think is the key, putting guys together, reconnecting guys with members of their units. I mean, that's all. I feel like all that's going to do is grow their support system, because now the way I look at it, with knowing I have all these guys on this Google Doc sheet, if I'm ever feeling this way, I already know that there's any one of them I can call. And it doesn't always have to be for something sad or tragic. I can call them if I'm having a good day, but knowing that they're there, because there's times where I'm like, oh man, I wonder how this person's doing. But I never pick up the phone to call them because either I lost contact with them or, and then sometimes being alone, you can start going down that rabbit hole of thinking about that individual. And then you start thinking about those bad things, and then it starts a whole cycle. And then it's tough to get out of that. But even talking to a vet, it kind of encouraged me to call somebody else, so it's kind of a chain reaction, I guess, is how I feel. And not every conversation is really one about, a tragedy. A lot of them I have is just laughing about the stupid things we figured out to have fun with while we were in Iraq. That's really what a lot of the times we get together is about. But I really appreciate your comment, Commissioner Salvas. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Janet, see your hand.
I know we're going over and I have to actually jump to another
Shoot.
meeting myself, but
Sorry,
I just
guys.
wanted to
I'm
say,
sorry.
oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't
Oh,
know.
okay.
You were though,
Oh,
so-
I'm sorry. I know we're running behind, but I just want to say, like, just with my own son in America, I don't know how you're probably around the same generation, but sometimes not. It's sort of that side conversation, like, and I think about when they were younger and we'd be in the car and you're not looking at them and you're talking about something else, and then the conversation, rather than in their face as much, like, how are you doing today? Tell me. It's more talking about something that we have in common, the pet or the cat, and then we segue into something else and taking that sort of, I called it the sideways approach to checking in and connecting in a different way. So I was thinking about what you were saying, Adam, about what do you say, how do you open that, even if it's like just some opening talking points of like, how do I raise this with someone without worrying about triggering, or when they're in, the scariest thing is when someone is really in either the very depths of despair and anger, and I mean, all of those emotions, and that you never see come out of someone until you are experiencing it and you don't know what to do. It's very scary. So sometimes just having maybe something written out. I had a little guide, like how to help de-escalate, so I know this conversation needs to just continue, but I'm really sorry, Adam, to hear that. It's just that this has happened to you and your family and and I do apologize. I have to go. I have another work meeting. I'm a few minutes late too, but thank you for sharing. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
I apologize.
I'm gonna go. Goodbye. Yeah, sorry.
I just wanted to leave that with you guys so we can really start, it's not just, it's critical. What we're doing is critical. So just keep that in mind. And I'm always here if anybody needs to talk as well.
Adam, I would like to congratulate you on your appointment to the Milwaukee City Commission.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Now that you're wearing all of the hats, so this is and your sensitivity will make you a good leader, and I really appreciated this last comment that you made and the discussion point, because it's right on. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Adam.
Yes,
Hello.
ma'am.
This is Lori Kimmel here, and I work side by side with a veteran that had PTSD, and with him and other veterans, some of them, I let them bring it up, but you keep the lines of communication open. And sometimes a veteran would see like a shirt or something, and that would open up a conversation. But as far as my PTSD coworker, he was the one, I'd let him open up the conversation if he wanted to talk about Vietnam. And it just depends on the person, but keep the lines of communication open.
Thank you, Lori. Absolutely. I mean, the line of communication, that's the key. It doesn't always have to be a conversation about our experiences, but sometimes just, how was your day? How was your night? That can go a long way.
Or just, how are you doing?
100%.
Well, I just want to just add one thing. The second thought I had on that was, one of my hobbies, even though I don't get much time to do it in much longer, but I'm a car guy. I like to go to car shows. I like to do a lot of car stuff. And I run into a whole bunch of veterans all the time. We talk about cars, right? And that's a good thing. It's great. But if you guys are, and I've learned it through life that there's all different things, there's guys that restore old boats. So there's boat clubs. There's a whole bunch of things where that you can find a lot of people that are because they'll wear their hat, signifying which branch they were in or what war they were in. But there's a lot of folks out there, and that might be something to consider. It might be some of these gatherings like car shows and maybe have a booth, perhaps. If you really want to do the outreach and find new people, that might be a way to get them and connect with them in a way that is not about their service, but it's more about their interest. Just a thought.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate, I mean, that's sometimes, that's usually where the conversation starts, right? Is with the interest, and then, yeah, and then it goes from there. I mean, we met a guy we didn't even know served with our buddy over there that happened to be a tanker. We didn't even talk about the military. We had conversation, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, you served with him? And it was like, next thing you know, I happened to be the first person he called when he was feeling down yesterday. So, that's just how, exactly, it's how it starts. Thank you. Any other comments? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn since we're over. Larry?
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, folks. I really appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much for all of your time. I really do. Thank you.